May it please the court, your honor. Before is Mr. Makai McClary here on warrant numbers 2025A 45101000014 and warrant numbers ending in 009 for murder and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. Mr. Makai is represented by Attorney Charles David Barr of the Winsburg County Bar. Seated in the audience, we do have the father of the deceased, Mr. John Hardy. His deceased son is Mr. Devin Hardy. He does not wish to address the court today, but he did want to make his presence known to you, your honor. This is defense's motion to have a bond set. We have investigator Jaleesa Brown again with the Winsburg County Sheriff Office to give us the facts of the case.
Ma'am?
Your Honor, on December the 22nd, 2024, at approximately 3 o'clock a.m., deputies responded to the vicinity of number 5 Bamboo Loop, that's in the Sausage area in Winsburg County. Once they arrived, they realized that the shooting incident actually occurred on Driffin Road, that's right there at the intersection of 52 South and Driffin Road. Through the investigation, we learned that Mr. Micah and one of his cousins had an argument with, which would be Micah's first cousin, but the brother of a co-defendant, over some property that belongs to their grandparents. The grandmother had just passed away a couple days prior to this incident. After the argument ensued, Micah sends his cousin a message on Facebook basically telling him to meet him in Blakely. His cousin didn't meet them there, so Micah and 2 co-defendants left Infinity Club here in King Street on 52 North, and they drove to the vicinity of Driffin Road to look for their cousin. Mr. Devin Hardy, who is the deceased victim, he was walking down the road. Someone from the vehicle called out to Mr. Hardy, basically asking him the whereabouts of the cousin, which is identified as Andre Smith. While at the vehicle, something ensued that caused shots to be fired. The co-defendants ran from the vehicle, but ultimately came back to the vehicle and came back to King Street to the Infinity Club. We were able to speak with several individuals who identified possibly having an altercation with Micah and his co-defendants. We interviewed all parties. Mr. Micah admitted to being at the location. He admitted to going there to basically find his cousin. But his version of events is that he was the rear passenger. He did not shoot, he was just the rear passenger. We've been since able to refute what he said and identify him as the actual driver of the vehicle. He tells us in the interview that he did not know the individual that was on the passenger side of the vehicle that he was operating that did the shooting, but we was ultimately able to identify that party. So he was charged accordingly.
Your Honor, it's my understanding that the investigators obtained several different statements from Mr. McClary. He's 20 years old, 22 years old. He's impressionable, and I believe that inasmuch as there were a number of statements taken from him, he also recanted his statement and on several other occasions when they questioned him. Judge, as far as the admissibility of the alleged confessions, I think that will be something that we'll have to deal with at trial. However, I'm looking for some independent information that the officers have that will corroborate the allegations of the elements of the offense of murder as it relates to this young man. And from what he tells me, Judge, he just absolutely was not there when this shooting took place. Now, this officer has related several things to you concerning what took place. She wasn't there. She didn't see a thing. And she don't know what took place. If she's got evidence that they're relying upon, I'm assuming that at the appropriate time, that evidence will be turned over to the defense. In the meantime, I hadn't heard one word related to the issues that are actually before the court. That is a flight risk or a danger to the community. Now, I understand, Your Honor, that the court is free to take into consideration even the incident that the defendant is charged with. However, that by itself, Judge, I would submit that these are mere allegations, of course, and the defendant is presumed to be innocent of what the current allegations are. So to rely on that as a basis to find that the defendant is a danger to the community, or even a flight risk, Your Honor, I would submit that those issues are totally unrelated to the issues that are before you now, whether or not this young man will not show up for court when he's supposed to, or whether or not he's a danger to the community. Now, notice that this officer didn't say anything to you about his criminal record, because he has none. And as far as I'm concerned, the criminal record would be indicative of whether or not he is a danger to the community. I mean, if he was out there committing crime, that's one thing. But if he has no history, no record of ever having any brushes with the law, how do you find that all of a sudden he's a danger to the community? Judge, we would ask the court to take into consideration that based on what has not been related to you regarding some proper basis for finding that he is not entitled to some bond, even with conditions. He lives right up the road, right here up the highway, and probably less than 7 miles from this courthouse on Highway 52. He's never lived anywhere else other than live right here in the community. He lives with his mother. I'm not sure if his mother's in the courtroom. If his mother's in the courtroom, I understand, but maybe she's not in the courtroom. But he lives right up the street with his mother. Your Honor, we would submit that he's entitled to a bond, and we'd ask the court to set a reasonable bond.
Your Honor, I just want to add one thing in reference to his criminal history. Number one, when he was interviewed on January the 2nd under Miranda, he admitted to being there, gave great details that only somebody that was there would know. It wasn't until he was served warrants that he recanted his statement. In July 2024, he was charged with possession of a stolen vehicle. He was charged with 1 gram meth or less than in the same month, July 24.
Judge, I'm gonna object unless he's got a conviction. What he's charged with has got nothing to do with why we're here today.
Hey, Your Honor, he had those pending charges when he picked up this new charge. That's why Investigator Brown is sharing it.
Anything else, Mr. Barr?
Sir?
Anything else?
No, sir.
I'm denying bond. I fully understand your position, Mr. Barr. A lot of things haven't been resolved here yet. He's certainly not a flight risk. But when it comes to the danger to the community factor, the biggest glaring problem there is that they said he was there, you say he wasn't there. Massive difference in opinion there. So, without some certainty as to actual presence or no presence there today, I deny the bond. Again, Mr. Barr, change the circumstances, you have the right to come back and seek a review.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
This is Christian News TY. I'm Tony Carney. Is there any newsworthy events? We will get them to you as soon as possible. If not, you can follow us on Christian News TY Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube, and you can follow us on our website.
Welcome to Christian News TY. Meet Benji. Benji is a mere Yankee. He is having fun playing with his pillow. Benji is available for stud services. We would like for you to meet Precious. She is a female Yankee. She is also having fun. Both Yankees will have an active part in some of our Christian News TY videos.